Hello and welcome to Petner's Place once again. It's been a couple days since I started the 512K project, and well, ran into a number of issues. Um, First off, ran into some more dead hard drives, trying to see if the SCSI port on the 512K machine actually was workable with the MacRescue 4 meg upgrade that supposedly has the SCSI on it. But for the life of me, I can't find any SCSI device that actually works on it and comes up after the first SCSI command is made. It just kind of locks up the system. Tried old OSs, newer OSs, um, different things with drive parity and termination power, um, adding extra termination kind of like before the drive with the pass-through connector and at the end of the chain as well. And it was just a giant mess. And even tried with a Mac SE formatted drive that worked just fine in a Mac SE, and that didn't work either. So I'm kind of giving up, but the base unit seems to be workable, and this thing might actually still be usable SCSI wise. Just I can't figure out what the trick is to do it. Maybe I need to actually go back to MFS. Maybe it only supports SCSI with MFS on it. I don't know. But I kind of ran out of patience with it. And this particular video, I kind of want to show how things turned out before I make another video that will cover using this system to make phone calls with an original Mac 128K version, when they got the original Mac phone. And I do have the software finally and the hardware for it, and it seems to work. And be very similar to what Dave Murray showed on his stream a while ago, earlier this year, where I tried it, but with the Mac 2 or the AMAX on an Amiga 500, the audio gets a little distorted with the PyStorm, and I have to go back and visit that again at some point too. But I would like to see it on this 512K, see it dial, and I don't know, maybe order another pizza or call the Jackie joke line or something, just to see it work through the voice over IP adapter through my Google Voice ATA. So without further ado, I will switch over to the badly placed camera, and you can take a look at what has become. All right, so here's what we have basically. So it's a original Mac 128K, I guess, bucket, the bezel in the back. Has a Mac 512K motherboard with a soldered on socket riser for the MacRescue add-on board, which is loaded with 6 megs of RAM now, with 4 meg usable for the OS, and 2 meg is usable for a RAM drive if and when we ever find the software that supports the MacRescue hardware. There are reports out there that it does exist. We can't locate it yet, and it's not on Macintosh Garden or Repository or any other major archives that I could find. So I was able to find basically all my beige goodness and get it all together in one spot. So the Mac 512 on the top there. Down in here in the middle is the Apple HD20 drive, which also needed its hard drive actually opened up and some open heart surgery on it to get it to spin up again. And it fully tests out. And once I found a way to found and located the HD20 software to do a full test, I low leveled it and installed System 608 on it, and it will boot, and that's what's currently booting the Mac right now. Got the standard short keyboard, and I do have 2 longer ones I'll be putting with other Macs later. And then we've also got now the semi-infamous old Mac20 by Paradise. And we finally located its software and figured out how to use it, and I figured out how to make it boot and do different things. And then have a rebuilt Apple 800K floppy drive, which had the cam rotator in it for the disk eject that actually, I think the motor died because the gear is just fine. So out of my spare set of drive parts over the last week, I harvested basically a working motor set and put its good drive wheel in there, and it actually ejects floppies as well. So all in all, I ended up with, I think, five working motors, one dead motor, and then basically all 6 extra drives would need the new drive gears replaced. And then I have another 10 floppy drives to replace gears in as well over the years and do some more testing and see what's left. But yeah, I was able to build 2 800K drives that work perfectly for now until they blow their gears, but hey, that's not bad. All right, so I want to see if I can get this to not be too bad. But anyway, what we would see here is it booted up to the boot volume, which is the HD20. Once this boots, I basically launch the Paradise Mac20 Start Paradise application, which then goes out and looks at it loads the Paradise serial drivers, and then loads up any volumes that have an asterisk in front of them. So they have a system and a big data. So they're these 2 folders, and then that way I've got the 2 hard drives online. Now, one interesting thing that can be done is that if you boot, you need to run in Finder mode and not multi-Finder mode if you want to reboot it. Because if you run it in multi-Finder mode, it complains that it doesn't have a coprocessor for some reason. But if you run in Finder mode only, not multi-Finder, it boots up. It'll actually do a takeover boot. In which case, if you have 2 asterisks in front of the system icon, it will eject the boot media and replace it and boot off of the selected media. So in this case, if I did that, I'd lose my HD20 access, and I'd have to figure out somehow to remount that. But yeah, let me go back and take a look at this software. Let's go into Paradise Manager. And it's actually a nice little simple app. And basically, you can basically set up your different volumes, what they are, and how big they are. So here's a big one. It's 2 meg in size. Isn't that cool? And if you notice down here, it'll say what format it is. So flat is MFS, and then hierarchical is HFS. Kind of makes you wonder why they didn't call it FFS. Unless the Amiga would have an issue with that on Commodore. But anyway, so that's how you get new volumes. And if you create a new volume, you can create new volumes, and everything's full at the moment on this particular one, and there's 20 megs for this drive. My internal drive, I believe, is a Rodim. Yeah, that's about all there is to it. You can set some disk caching up, and you can format hard drives and stuff like that. And that's how I haven't done that yet because I haven't needed to. Everything seems to be checking out fine. But the driver disk is basically what was required that we found after 7-8 years of hunting. So thank you, Brian Bogert, again. There you go. And then that includes Mac and Talk, and it'll actually read the README to you if you go and do that via Show and Tell. It has a backup option that you can back up volumes to floppy disk. I did that at the start. That's kind of cool. But it takes, in this case, it took, for the available volumes it had, it took 13 floppy disks to back up. And then, of course, Start Paradise is what you launch to start it up. So what I can do is show what it looks like when you boot from floppy and let it bring things up. So let's do that. So we'll do a restart, and then we'll boot from floppy, and I have a floppy that's set up with system 608, and it's set to boot the Start Paradise application at first. So you'll see it come up, and then it'll launch, go away, and then eventually the HD20 volume will mount at the below the list. So let this run and do it. It takes a little bit. So there's the Paradise taking over. And I believe right now, because I only have 1 asterisk on that system volume, it'll keep the system 608 floppy mounted. Yes. All right. So now so say there's boot down here, that's the HD20 volume. So everything is mounted. But if I put another asterisk up here, And then let's do another reboot and see how this Paradise is still mounted. That's part of that. So let's do a restart. I'll throw that back in. I apologize for the flicker since I'm just using the little cheap cam. And I don't have a tripod big enough either, so if you get seasick, I'm sorry. Okay, so there's Paradise taking over. It'll eject the floppy, and then now it's going to boot, and you'll see it's booting the 608 off the system directly, which is kind of cool. Now, interestingly enough, I need to go back there and double check how I created this. If you do set startup, I don't think you can run multi-finder in this mode from that drive, but you can if you boot from the HD20. But at least basically it's a floppy boot to hard drive mount. So I kind of think I will probably end up running this with the HD20 boot as normal. Which in this case, if I want to keep the HD20 around after boot, I'll put the asterisk on these so they auto mount just those volumes, but it won't actually reboot or relaunch. So if we do that, we'll say restart. I'll show this last one and we'll go back. So there it's booting off the HD20. I don't know if you can see the little green light going. Yeah, there you go. And then eventually it'll come back up. So this will boot to the boot volume, and then from here you can manually launch. Or I can actually tell it, well, if I tell it to boot automatically, then I lose the multi-finder access because you can only boot to one app. So not a big deal if you have it there. So either way, you can still bring on the online SCSI hard drive without demounting your boot volume. That's kind of handy. So yeah, after all this time, it finally does work. And we'll go back from there. So let's transition back there and kind of wrap this up. So yeah, if anyone has any idea what you can connect to a MacRescue board that actually works on a 128 or 512, and the whole purpose of the MacRescue board by Computer Care is the company, was that it gave you the ability to go make your machine into a 4 meg Mac Plus without going to buying a new Mac machine. Very, very neat, and I happened to find this card in a eBay find several years ago when I was just buying basically a dead machine. And yeah, everything required a complete rebuild of several machines to make the one, but now that works. The software for all of this is currently out on Macintosh Garden, so you can go grab it if you need it. And yeah, we're still looking for the one piece of software for the MacRescue card though. So if you happen to find that, and it's a special RAM disk driver that allows the extra 2 meg of RAM to be used as a 2 meg RAM disk just automatically. So yeah, it was a very long project, and one of the next things I'll be doing is hooking up that old Mac phone and trying to dial out through my system. So yep, thanks for sticking around for the update.